One. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of the NFL Legacy podcast. Today we got both Jack and Sam back for the first time since episode 1. And today we'll be looking at two free agent moves that have happened around the league. We'll be looking at Alex Smith's retirement, as well as the NFL expanding their use of single digits across all positions across the league. And all three of us will be putting together a one-round mock draft. With the draft being 6 days away and it creeping up on us kind of fast, we wanted to put together a mock draft and put it out to you guys. That way you can see what we think, see what prospects are going to what teams and all that. So to start things off, we have former Raiders D tackle Maurice Hurst signing with the 49ers.
I mean, adding Maurice Hurst to any defensive tackle room would make that defensive tackle room a lot better. Maurice Hurst is a good D tackle. He's not going to be your elite D tackle. I think in a good system he could thrive, but with them losing Robert Saleh, it's going to be a little bit harder for that defensive system to come along now because they have to find a way to adapt to what they're losing. Robert Saleh is arguably one of the best defensive minds in the league. But I'm excited to see what Maurice Hurst does. They have a really good defensive room and a really great pass rushing room, so he could succeed pretty well.
Yeah, I gotta agree here. I mean, first of all, you get kind of more production since DeFortness Bucker left last year. You get, Javon Kinlaw back, and you get, Maurice Hurst now, who has been in the league for a while now. And that defensive line is going to be good. So I think it's a good signing, especially if it's pretty cheap. He just makes that room much better, especially after what happened last year, that the defensive line was not as good as a 2019 was. So I like it.
I mean, it's especially different there when their entire defensive tackle room was injured, and
yeah,
I think he provides a reliable aspect too. I don't think he's missed many games in his entire career.
No, Maurice Hurst, no.
I think he provides a very reliable option at D tackle.
Do you guys think he's going to be able to fill a hole that DeForest Buckner left?
Absolutely not.
No one can.
You can't replace a top 3 D tackle in the league with just anybody.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why they have Javon Kinlaw there still, and I mean, I'm not going to say Javon Kinlaw is going to be as good, but he can be good. Not as good as DeFortness Buckner, but you get also Maurice Hurst, so side by side, it kind of can fill that gap that he did leave.
Well, and they're also getting back Nick Bosa, who had tremendous production in 2019. He was out all last year with injury, so I think this will be a really good help for their defensive unit. I guess the front seven as well, because their entire defense was riddled with injuries last year. Okay, moving on from Maurice Hurst and the 49ers. The next one we have is quite a big trade, actually. The Kansas City Chiefs acquired offensive tackle Orlando Brown from the Ravens. So the Chiefs traded the number 58 pick and the Chiefs acquired a number 58 pick and a future 6th-rounder. And then they sent to Baltimore the number 31 pick, 94 pick, and 136 pick in this year's upcoming draft and a future 5th. So in just this offseason alone, the Chiefs have added Orlando Brown, Joe Thuney, and Kyle Long to their offensive line.
So I think this is the part of where you watch the Super Bowl and you see how badly obliterated that entire defense, that entire offensive line got. The Buccaneers made them look like a high school offensive line. And I think when they went into offseason, their number one target was to better that, so that doesn't happen again, because at this point, there's a lot of defensive line rooms that are just going to overpower and over-dominate your offensive line if you don't have good players in there, especially the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers don't mess around with their defense. So I think bringing in Kyle Long, for one, was a great move. Cheap option as a guy that has not played in a year, but still stayed in shape and kept up with himself. I think that was a good move. I think Joe Thuney was a good move. I think they paid a little too much for him. I didn't think they were going to be able to revitalize the rest of their offensive line. They've proven me wrong. I will say that. I was on the first episode saying that was a dumb signing. I mean, with the adding of now Orlando Brown, I heard they're still in talks with Eric Fisher. And they got Austin Blythe now added to that. I mean, they have a great offensive line. It's going to be incredible to see how they all work together and if the chemistry is still as good. or if it will be as good later on. But it'll be good. It'll be a good offensive line to watch out for in the league.
I completely agree. And so I don't even know where to start for this offensive line. And again, you got to look back at the Super Bowl, but they are getting a lot. I think this is definitely the improvement year for the offensive line. Of course, you get Kyle Long, which I think he's going to play left guard, and then you get that. I think you get the guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Larry, whatever. He's going to be back at right guard. And you get Austin Blythe, and then you bring in Orlando Brown, where I honestly think the Chiefs kind of fleeced the Ravens here. I mean, the Chiefs got two second round picks now, and that's gonna help a lot. And imagine if they either bring back Eric Fisher or if Mitchell Schwartz is going to play, you can bring him back, and that offensive line from last year is improvement over last year, and it's just going to be a lot better than what happened, last year, which was the main issue. And I think, again, for the first round, you look at the first round, and where the Kansas City Chiefs are picking 31, I think how they viewed it is who's going to make the more production value, which one's going to produce more on the field, who's going to help us more win another Super Bowl, and I think Orlando Brown was going to be that instead of just a rookie like a Samuel Cosme, for example. I love the trade. I think it's really good for Kansas City.
Do you think that Orlando Brown is going to get his wish at playing left tackle in Kansas City, or do you think Kansas City is going to keep him at right tackle?
Oh,
Yes.
that's what I'm wondering, because if they bring back Eric Fisher was left tackle, and if they're still talking to Eric Fisher, they might expect him to play right tackle.
Nah, I don't think they're gonna. I mean, the whole reason why Orlando Brown wanted to be traded is because he wanted to play left tackle. I think they're gonna give him that wish. That's why I brought up Mitchell Schwartz if he's gonna play again.
Right. And well, I think just statistically, left tackles generally get paid a lot more than right tackles.
Because it protects the
So,
blind side.
right. And with Patrick Mahomes being a right-handed quarterback, that does make a lot of sense since that edge rushers coming off the right side or the left side, excuse me, is going to be his blind side. So I think that if Orlando Brown gets his wish at playing left tackle and Kansas City can somehow give him a long-term deal, Kansas City might have one of the better O-lines in the league. I mean, they won't be on the level of, say, the Colts or the Browns, but I mean, they'll still have one of the better units across the league, probably top 10.
You also don't send a first-round pick for someone to play right tackle. I don't think you do that. So I think he's going to play left tackle.
Which team do you think won this trade, or is it too early to tell yet?
Oh,
it's too early to tell.
I personally think it's Kansas City who won.
So the reason I say it's too early to tell is because now they have the 2 first-round picks. They could easily move up and acquire, they could move up enough to get Elijah Vera Tucker, or they could move up to get a Dara, they could probably move up to the top 15 with 2 first-round picks and get into the Darisaw range. I mean, there's a lot of moves they could make with those 2 first-round picks, or even if they stay in their position, they can get Tevin Jenkins and possibly a good receiver to complement both. I mean, I think the Ravens have a very, very, very good chance at making this trade a huge W for them. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it's too early to tell now, because who's to say that Orlando Brown goes to a different system and doesn't pan out? I mean, you never know. Sometimes players move scenery and they just don't pan out.
Yeah, and with that, I do agree with you. I think it's too early to tell. I think it mostly just depends on what the Ravens do with their picks, because we saw this before where the Falcons traded a bunch of picks to the Browns to move up to draft Julio Jones. And looking back on that with who the Browns selected with their picks, it's obvious that Atlanta won that trade. So I think it depends on who the Ravens pick with the picks that they acquired from the Chiefs. Okay, moving on from free agency. Those are the only 2 free agent moves that we have. Alex Smith actually announced his retirement. He made a comeback this past season that will never be forgotten, and he went through tremendous amounts of surgeries and rehab and physical therapy for his leg, and he actually almost lost his leg and his life. His leg got so brutally infected, and just all this stuff. And it was said that he would never step foot on a football field again. But he came back for the Washington football team last season, led them to a playoff berth. And then he didn't play in the playoffs. I believe he went 6-1 in his time as a starter for the Washington football team and he won comeback player of the year. He proved everybody wrong that he could still play. So this retirement for me, I think it's a good move for him. I didn't think he had anything left to prove. He showed that he could still come back from a brutal injury, one of the most brutal injuries we've seen since maybe Ryan Shazier, and, still lead a team to a football berth. And with this retirement, Aaron Rodgers is the only first-round pick from the 2005 draft still playing. So Alex Smith is he's a really good guy. He was a really good player across the league, and he did a lot of things for a lot of people.
So I personally think that this is something they should change the name of the comeback award name, and it should be called the Alex Smith NFL Comeback Player of the Year. The reason why is there's not many guys that go through the injury Alex Smith did, come back and then lead their team to the playoffs or a playoff berth. Go through like the trials and tribulations with a new head coach in their new system. Like he brought them right to the playoffs. That to me says we should change the name of this like immediately. Like the guy overcame so much that I think he deserves it. Legendary career. I'm not gonna say he's like Hall of Fame, quote unquote, but Alex Smith is a legend to a lot of people in this era. Even Patrick Mahomes came out and said without Alex Smith, he wouldn't be nearly as successful as he is. He's been one heck of a player off the field and on the field, and it's sad to see him go, but I'm glad he went out on his terms and not, the injury.
Yeah, and going off of that, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to say, I think you do. I think you can call him a Hall of Famer. I think you go in. I mean, I think personally he should go in the Hall of Fame, especially for what he had to go through, almost losing his life with such a terrible injury that happened. But I don't know. I mean, if you look at stats wise, I mean, he never won a Super Bowl. He never did that or whatever. But story alone, I mean, I do agree with the comeback should be changed to his name and everything else. I think he has to be somewhere placed and to cement his legacy. That's just what I had to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to read off two quotes that were on the behalf of Alex Smith. One from Andy Reid, one from Patrick Mahomes. We'll start with Andy Reid. And he goes, quote, "He's a heck of a person. I told him if he ever gets into coaching, I'll get first dibs on him. He's a guy you'd love to have on your staff and a special person and one of my all-time favorites," end quote. And I think that coaching might be a good move for Alex Smith. He could be a QB coach somewhere. He could be maybe an offensive coordinator at some sort of team, maybe not at the NFL level. He could go to college. He could maybe go to high school. I mean, he really could stay in the football field for sure. He has he's a very smart player. He's got a lot of football IQ, and I think he can help a lot of teams that might need his offensive mind. Next one we've got is from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes says, quote, "With the injury he had to lead his team to the playoffs, that shows you the player he is. And I'm just grateful for the time that I had with him. He really helps me to be the quarterback I am today," end quote. And obviously with Patrick Mahomes being, top 2, top 3 quarterback in the league for as long as he's been in the league, I mean, it really shows what Alex Smith has done for him. And for Patrick Mahomes to come in and practically take Alex Smith's job from him and, to have Alex Smith still help him and show him the ropes and, get him adjusted to the NFL and all that stuff and make out this one of the best quarterbacks we've seen in a long time, that really says a lot about who he is. So I'll be sad to see Alex Smith go, but I'm glad that he went out on his terms and not with the injury.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that he cemented himself as a guy that could be relied upon when you need him, especially in any situation. And you think about what he went through though, man. Like his career, like it had such good ups and downs, and like when he brought the 49ers all the way to the Super Bowl, and then Cap popped off, and then Cap takes over his position for the playoff run, and he goes to Kansas City. He's playing really well, and then they draft Patrick Mahomes. The guy had so many things to go through, and then the injury hits, and then he went through so much to not crown this guy as a prime motive of what you can overcome anything. I think that that's why I think the award should be named after him. The guy overcame a lot. So
Yeah, he's for sure one of the most inspirational players that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, granted, I haven't seen a ton of players, but he's top of the mind for inspiration wise. And just as some notable retirements this offseason, we had Drew Brees retired, Phillip Rivers retired, Alex Smith just recently announced his retirement along with Julian Edelman. Jason Witten retired again, and then Greg Olson also announced his final retirement, and Jordan Reed as well. Jordan Reed was battled with concussions after concussions, and you know it's sad to see some of these guys go, but some of them had to go for the betterment of their careers and for their well-being, I guess. So I mean, it's sad to see a guy like Alex Smith go, but again, it's really nice that he went out how he wanted to. Next up, in some NFL news, just a few days ago, the NFL actually announced that they're going to expand the use of single digits across the league. So this will allow more positions to use more numbers, such as wide receivers being single digits like they are in college and high school. So the use of single digits is as follows. Quarterbacks, kickers, and punters can be numbers 1 through 19. Running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers can be numbers 1 through 49, as well as 80 through 89. Defensive backs can be 1 through 49. Linebackers can be 1 through 59, as well as 90 through 99. O linemen can be 50 through 79, and D linemen can be 50 through 79, as well as 90 to 99. And just one more note on this. If any NFL player wishes to change his number, he has to buy out the rest of his current jersey stock before being allowed to switch, which is just an existing NFL rule. I mean, that was even before they expanded the use of single digits. If any player changes their number, they're going to have to buy out the rest of the stock just because you don't want to sell outdated jerseys to fans after you switch your number. So do you guys like or dislike this?
Okay, I like it. And, I don't. Okay, I saw Tom Brady kind of pop off about you don't know who to block now if their numbers change. Yes, you're right, Tom. We're not going to know the defensive tackle standing in front of the offensive guard is who he needs to block. Like, come on, man. It's not going to make that big of a difference of what number they're wearing. Like, you can still call out the number at the line like you normally would. You're still going to have the same formations with the same players. It's not going to be any different. Like, I think it's a good move. I think it allows. I mean, back in the day, we had Ty Montgomery as a running back, and he was running, you know, at number 88, which is now legal. Like it was not legal back then. The NFL overruled, said it was just fine because he was technically listed as a wide receiver, and then now it's actually a thing that you can have that like have those numbers. I see a lot of players already changing their numbers. One I saw today. DeAndre Hopkins is talking about changing it back to number 6 from college. That'd be a pretty decent change. Different, very different. If he was the first one to actually come out and publicly like change his number. Couple to watch out for on our fandom that we have listeners from would be Darnell Savage has hinted at changing his number a couple times. So I mean, I like the rule change. I don't think it's any different than what was already standing. Like I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference except for your numbers changing. But that being said, that's just my opinions.
To be honest with you, it's just a number, and it's cool. Once a wide receiver has a number like 37, 47, that's going to be an issue. But I think it's cool. I think it's kind of shitty. You always have to buy the remaining stock, and I wouldn't be shocked if some companies start helping like a Dalvin Cook, for example, to change their number, or something like that. I would like to see DeAndre Hopkins go to the 6. I think that would be pretty sweet. But overall, yeah, I like it.
I'm not too sure how I feel about it yet because I do like it that they're allowed to use more numbers, and some of their single digit numbers that they use in high school and college have some sort of significance to them, and the fact they can use in the NFL is also really cool. Buying out the jersey stock, it makes sense to me. I can understand the players not liking it because Dalvin Cook came out and said that in order for him to switch from 33 to number, I believe it was 4 that he wore at Florida State, it would cost him over $1 million to switch, which again isn't a lot to most players around the league, but it is still a significant amount of money. But the one part that I kind of don't dislike about it, it's mostly about me, not about the NFL or any players or anything. It's just that I got so used to seeing positions being a certain range of numbers, and for having it to switch is a little different. Because I'm so used to seeing numbers in the 20s and 30s being defensive backs, numbers in the teens like 10 through 19, or in the 80s being mostly wide receivers and a few tight ends, and then a couple 30s being running backs. So it's just a little bit of a change of tradition for me. But I mean, Tom Brady coming out and saying that you don't know who to block, you don't know who's playing what, that doesn't really make much sense to me because, like Sam said, you're still going to be running the same formations. You're still going to be, doing all the same sort of stuff that you do before. It's just a different number on their jersey, a different number on the back. So, I mean, I'm not too sure how I feel about it, but that's just me. So, all right. Now it's time for the mock drafts. So the draft order will go as follows. Jack will get the first pick with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I will get the second pick with the New York Jets. And then Sam will get the third pick with the San Francisco 49ers. And then that order will just rotate. So then Jack will get fourth, I'll get fifth, Sam will get sixth, and so on until the end of the first round. After each pick, we will give a short description for each one and why we made that pick. And so, yeah, let's just jump right in. Jack, you can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, and so I'm thinking here I'm Urban Meyer. And Urban Meyer's not stupid, so we're picking Trevor Lawrence, the franchise quarterback out of Clemson. There's nothing really to say here. I mean, he's the number one pick. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really much to say with that. I'll go next for the New York Jets. I think this one's also another fairly obvious one. Quarterback Zach Wilson out of BYU. He showed off an impressive ability to throw on the run and accurately. He needed that multiple times in his pro day. His confidence is another ability that's sought after in so many quarterbacks. And with the departure of Sam Darnold for the Jets, Zach Wilson will be expected to be a day one starter for them. And I believe that he'll be able to jump in and help that offense.
Now this is where I take a turn. So Mike Silver came out. The Niners are at 3. Mike Silver came out and wrote an article today about how he thinks that the Niners had traded up for Mac Jones. I disagree. I'm going to go Justin Fields. I think that Justin Fields is going to fit this system better in a Mike Shanahan offense, and I think that with or Kyle Shanahan, they kind of run the same systems. But regardless, I think he's going to fit the offense better in the system that they're running, especially with he's going to help in the run game. And I think that's where Mac Jones would lack is the ability to move because Mac Jones is a statue. I think we've all can agree that Mac Jones cannot run. I think that with Justin Fields, you're offered the option to run a lot of RPOs, and that's going to be a huge part of your offense.
Right. I gotta agree here first of all before I go into my pick. And I think Justin Fields and Zach Wilson aren't that far apart. And you're just foolish if you're the 49ers if you pick Mac Jones over Justin Fields. It makes no sense. Justin Fields is more accurate. He's more mobile. And I just find it mind-boggling that Mac Jones is even being talked about this pick. And I don't know why they would give up how many firsts to trade up to 3 just to get Mac Jones when you could have gotten him at 12. So I like the pick there at 3. So now I'm going to go to the Falcons, which is my pick. And I'm going to do a little bit different than what everyone else has been saying. I mean, we talk about Kyle Pitts a lot at this pick, but I'm going to go, I think, where they have to go. And the Falcons general manager has been to every single quarterback pro day, and I think the one they want badly, I think the one that would fit the offense that Tennessee was running last year and will be running this year in Atlanta is Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. I think he can sit behind Matt Ryan, and I don't care that Matt Ryan restructured his contract or not. Trey Lance is going to need at least a year to sit behind someone. He's basically the Jordan Love of this class, I guess you can say. And I honestly think it would be a home run pick. You get someone that fits your system there, and then you get your franchise quarterback.
I gotta say, I'm a little intrigued by that, but I mean, it makes sense to me, but I thought they would have gone a different direction. Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals, this one might come as a bit of a shock to some people, not a shock to others. Wide receiver Jamar Chase. I mean, Joe Burrow has been pushing for a reunion with his former LSU teammate. And it'll be a move that'll strengthen their offense, and it'll give Burrow another weapon. And yes, Joe Burrow got hurt in the pocket last year due to his O-line. And Penny Sewell might have helped with this, but again, there's still 4 other positions on the offensive line, as well as if you bring in a tight end to block. So Penny Sewell, he might have helped Joe Burrow, but I believe Joe Burrow's mobility will hopefully be another factor for him this next upcoming season. But I believe that he really wanted Jamar Chase to come back, and his Jamar Chase's ability to play wide receiver at a high level has never been questioned. So I believe that Joe Burrow's pushing for Jamar Chase is going to pay off.
Why?
Oh,
Why?
100%. No. I've been calling for that reunion as well. I think that
No.
those two together again is a deadly combo. And if the Bengals can find a way to get oh man, do they have I think they have a second round pick. I'm gonna look real quick. Hold on.
Just kind of going off of that, I mean, the biggest thing with quarterbacks and wide receivers is honestly chemistry. And Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase already have that.
Could you imagine, just take a second, could you imagine if they did end up going, because they just signed Thaddeus Moss too. They get Jamar Chase, sorry, I'm thinking Jalen Waddle, and then they go into the second round and they're like, you know what? Let's gear up one more time, and they grab Terrence Marshall and just have an all LSU offense. That's a dream scenario. It probably won't happen, but I'm saying that'd be really nice. On to my pick. It's obvious and apparent that the Dolphins need pass catchers very badly. I'm going Kyle Pitts. They have Mike Gesicki. Yes, I think Kyle Pitts offers flexibility to play outside receiver as well, and they really don't have a number one weapon right now. I think that the depth at wide receiver in this draft is a lot deeper than a lot of other positions, and I feel Kyle Pitts just offers a little bit more in the passing game than if I were to go with like a Devonta Smith right now. But that, as like I said, that's just my pick. I'll go Kyle Pitts.
Okay, Okay, first of all, I want to talk about the Bengals pick. I'm sorry. I gotta go back here. I got a question. Why not go Penny Sewell at this pick? Because right here, so you got Jamar Chase, and I understand the chemistry is there, but once your offensive line is one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and you get a generational talent like Penny Sewell that will lock up your tackle spot, you can move either Jonah Williams back to guard or to right tackle, and you're fixing a lot of that offensive line. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me who thinks it, but I think it's kind of insane to go Jamar Chase here when Joe Burrow is literally just coming back from a torn ACL.
I mean, it'll come as a shock to some people, but I mean, I was against the move at first, but after reading up on it, I'm not so much against it. You know, wide receivers and quarterbacks, they need that chemistry, and having Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase already have that from college is a massive step in the right direction.
Not only that, but they did sign like offensive linemen this offseason. They did sign a new tackle. They signed Riley Reef. They signed a couple other players on the offensive line. I don't care they signed.
Riley Reef isn't a game changer like Penny Sewell would be.
I mean, but who's to say Penny Sewell's going to pan out to what they say he's going to be? Yes, he's good, but who's going to say he's going to pan out?
Who says Jamar Chase is going to pan out?
Personally, you have chemistry. You have a better chance with someone you know.
I don't know. I think they should go Penny Sewell at that pick. But
well, you have a pick to pick Penny Sewell right now. So.
Well, guess what? I'm going to go Penny Sewell for the Detroit Lions. I think it makes a lot of sense here for Penny Sewell to go here if he does fall to 7. They need tackle help there in Detroit. I mean, they did sign that one dude last year for $10 million a year for no reason. He wasn't even good. I mean, you got Taylor Decker there, but they've been talking about how Penny Sewell might be moving the right tackle. He's been playing or training at right tackle. And I think it makes a lot of sense for Penny Sewell to go to the Detroit Lions. You get 2 good tackles finally, and you could talk about Mac Jones going here, but I don't think it makes sense to go to quarterback here unless like Justin Fields falls. But Detroit's in an interesting situation, so I think getting someone like a Penny Sewell would help them a lot.
Okay, I was kind of banking on Penny Sewell falling to 8. I'm not gonna lie. But the Panthers are in a bit of an interesting situation here. So they can go offensive linemen to, help their newly acquired Sam Darnold, or they can draft a quarterback to develop behind Sam Darnold or have him start and have Sam Darnold be the backup. They can go wide receiver. They can go tight end. They can go corner. They can do a lot of things here at pick number 8. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. I think that getting Sam Darnold another weapon that he didn't really have much of in New York will be a big step in the right direction for Sam Darnold and Carolina. I think that it'll be that they're going to surprise a lot of teams this year, a lot of defensive units with their versatility in their offense. Because, Christian McCaffrey's coming back from injury. They have a semi-decent O-lineman Sam Darnold might show a lot of things that he hasn't shown in New York. And then with Robbie Anderson and then Jalen Waddle as well coming in, I think that Carolina is in a pretty good shape.
So I want to agree with this because they did lose Curtis Samuel, and losing a piece like that, it needs to be replaced. Curtis Samuel could do a lot of things in the offense that you wouldn't normally have. Jalen Waddle offers kind of the same package. Jalen Waddle's extremely fast. He's a vertical threat. He can get open. He can separate himself not just by speed but by routes. He's primarily healthy. He did have a surgery that worries me a little bit, but I like this pick 100%. But this is where I blow up your draft boards. You guys ready? I'm gonna go Patrick Surtain II to the Broncos.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot,
The
actually.
reason being is that they need corner help terribly bad, and the cornerback depth in this draft is good. I always had Caleb Farley going there, but with Caleb Farley's surgery on his back, his herniated disc surgery, I don't know how far he's really going to fall. He could fluctuate now. I think Surtain's a lock as a player that is going to compete at a high level in the NFL. I like this pick for the Broncos because I think he fits their system, and I think that's something they're looking for. It's someone that will come in day one be a starter, and I think that Patrick Surtain is that player.
Right, I like the pick. Makes a lot of sense. And I'm Dallas Cowboys now. And honestly, the whole time I wasn't going to go Patrick Surtain. I was going to go J.C. Horn for the Cowboys. And here's my reasoning. I think he's a better fit for what Dallas is going to do. And they've been talking about him a lot lately. They've been talking about how they like him over Surtain. And I just wouldn't be shocked by if they go J.C. Horn. And I think right there, top two corners are off the board.
See, I wanna we can 50-50. The thing about that pick is it's kind of a coin flip because if you're Dallas, your offensive line was horrible last year, which led to your quarterback getting hurt too. So you could either do the flip of the coin and get J.C. Horn and have your corner room freshened up, but lack that pick now, or you get Rashawn Slater and then address corner later. Rashawn Slater is seen to be working out with Zach Martin right now, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys. So I guess it'll be interesting to see how that pick does vitally fall. But that's where I would have gone Rashawn Slater, but I like the pick of J.C. Horn. You can't go wrong.
I wouldn't be shocked if Kyle Pitts falls to 6 if they try massively trying to trade up for Kyle Pitts.
Sam, it was very nice of you to talk about Rashawn Slater because that's actually where I'm going to go with the Giants. Because the Giants seem to want to stick with Daniel Jones, and they can get him help with Rashawn Slater and the best O-lineman prospect being off the board in Penei Sewell. Rashawn Slater's next in line, and with the addition of Kenny Golladay in free agency, this will give Daniel Jones more time to hit their weapons in Evan Ingram, and with Saquon Barkley coming back, I think it'll be a massive help to Daniel Jones.
All right, so this is why I hate you guys. Because now I'm the Eagles, and I'm at a spot where their GM came out and said that they want quarterback competition. I don't see them getting quarterback competition in the first round. The Eagles have never really been a team to pick a quarterback in the first. I'd see them going Devonta Smith. I think that they're going to get another wide receiver. They like speedy guys. Devonta Smith is incredibly fast for his size. Only problem I'd worry about is his weight. But other than that, I like Devonta Smith at this pick. I think that Devonta Smith as a whole is going to be one of the better receivers in this draft if he can get the whole weight thing under control. He's the whole package. So.
All right, now we're on to the I was going to say San Diego, but Los Angeles Chargers. So I think they need to address it. They should have probably addressed it last year, but they got the franchise quarterback and it's showing the work. But now you got to protect that franchise quarterback, and now you have to get your franchise tackle, in which I'm going to pick Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. I almost thought about Tevin Jenkins, but I think he's more of a right tackle, though I think he can play left tackle. But you just got to improve that left tackle spot. They didn't really do anything. I mean, they got like a left guard, and they got Corey Linsley, of course. But they got to keep improving that offensive line for Justin Herbert to even talk about being in the playoffs or even being in competition to even get in the playoffs. So Christian Darrisaw to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay. I'm up with the Minnesota Vikings. And this is a bit of a rough pick because they have got a lot of needs. Honestly, they need edge. They need interior offensive linemen. They need offensive tackles. They just need offensive line in general. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with Tevin Jenkins. You can't really go wrong with a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker or, I guess, any high-rated prospect on the offensive line. But with that said, I am going to go with Tevin Jenkins. I believe that he is one of the best all-around offensive linemen outside of the two that were already selected. I guess the first two already selected. And, it'll help Kirk Cousins. It'll help him be protected. It'll make Dalvin Cook's job a lot easier. And with one of the worst offensive line units in the league last year, I think they're going to look to turn that around. So I'm selecting Tevin Jenkins at 14.
That's where me and you would have went a little different. This pick, a number one name I would look out for this pick would be Elijah Vera Tucker. And the reason being is they drafted Ezra Cleveland last year, and Ezra Cleveland is a tackle. So they would want to move him back out and put a guard. That's just my thought if I was the Vikings. I'm not knocking your pick. I'm saying that's where I would have went. But it's definitely interesting. Tevin Jenkins has been climbing up boards a lot lately. So I wouldn't be surprised if they picked him over Elijah Vera Tucker. Elijah Vera Tucker is just my favorite prospect. But with 15, I mean, Mac Jones is there. I'm obviously going Mac Jones. They've been looking for a quarterback for I don't know how long. The guy falls directly to you. You can't say no. That's the guy I would have went.
All right, so I'm the Arizona Cardinals now, and you have a big hole at corner. You lost Hassan Reddick. How are you going to replace Hassan Reddick? I mean, you got J.J. Watt, but he's not there forever. I mean, crap. I could go Micah Parsons here, but I'm not. I think you're going to get one of the better corners in this draft. I think he could have been the best or number one corner in this draft if it wasn't for back injuries. I'm going to go Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. They lost Patrick Peterson, he's been meh these past few years, but you got to get another corner to go with Byron Murphy, and I think Caleb Farley is, great value at 16.
I agree. I like Caleb Farley a lot. I wish he would have fallen a bit further, but that's all right. Next up is the Las Vegas Raiders. They're one of the teams that can also go a lot of different directions. They can go offensive tackle to help Derek Carr or some other quarterback that they might bring in. They can go interior D lineman. They can go linebacker. They can do a lot of things with their first round pick. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch a little bit and take linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. The front seven has always been a massive point of interest for Las Vegas. And, after Khalil Mack left in a blockbuster trade a few years ago, Owusu-Koramoah is one of the most versatile coverage players in the draft at linebacker, and he can make a play in the open field. And I think that he'll provide a nice boost to that defensive unit.
I agree. And on top of that, I mean, the Raiders have a tendency to just go for the fastest guy, and a name you wouldn't expect them to grab. So I like this pick a lot. Just to throw it out there, though, I could see them going Joe Tryon just to beat the Raiders.
I want to say something right before the Dolphins pick. What value here, by the way? What value here at this pick?
What do you mean?
The value here, there's two
players.
Here's the
thing, though. Here's the thing, though, and this is why I put JOK above Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has a ton of off-field concerns, including a bunch of hazing problems that he had at Penn State, and most of them being proven true. JOK is a versatile player that you can play at safety and linebacker, and he's good in coverage. He's good at tackling. He can blow up plays. Sideline to sideline speed. That's the guy you want over Micah Parsons, in my opinion. You're talking Zaven Collins? Oh, no, you're telling me to pick my pick. Okay, I got you. Okay. Anyway, so I got the Dolphins already. I already picked I forgot who I picked. Kyle Pitts. After doubling up on getting my wide receiver, I'm actually going to go running back. And no, give me Jalen Phillips. Give me Jalen Phillips from Miami. Give me an edge rusher who can finally get to the quarterback because I'm sick and tired of watching that defense. They get so close every time. Their defense is so good on the back end. Xavier Howard is a monster. Your D-backs are great. Your linebackers are great. You need pass rush. And I think Jalen Phillips would shore that up on the right side. And I think that you could have um, 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 did they get Carl Lawson? Is that who it was? Yes, they got Carl Lawson. Have Carl Lawson on the other side and just obliterate offenses. I like Jalen Phillips at this pick. He has good value as well.
All right, I like it. Now I'm in a predicament where I want to kind of go Micah Parsons, but I'm not. So for the football team, I think you got to go offensive lineman. I'm going to go probably one of the best offensive linemen in the class. I know it might make Sam upset. I'm going to go Elijah Vera Tucker, a guy who can play tackle if he needed to, and he can play guard. And Washington needs offensive linemen everywhere. So I think I love it there.
That's interesting that you picked Vera Tucker because I was deciding between him and Tevin Jenkins at 14 for the Vikings, but I decided to go with Tevin Jenkins. So I like the pick a lot. Next up are the Chicago Bears. Again, another team that can go a lot of directions. They need a lot of things. They need a lot of defensive backs. They could go quarterback to help get rid of Andy Dalton. Either have the quarterback sit behind Andy Dalton or vice versa. They can go offensive tackle. They can go wide receiver. They can do a lot of things here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stretch again a little bit and take Trevin Moehrig out of TCU. I believe that he'll mainly be added to eventually take over for Tashawn Gibson in the secondary. And he might be able to fill that role next to Eddie Jackson that Adrian Amos left when he didn't re-sign with Chicago. And with secondary being one of the few weak points in Chicago's defense, I think Moehrig is going to fit that hole pretty nicely.
So, there was one player I would like to consider here as well. If you're watching the Bears and you're a Bears fan, watch for Christian Barmore at 20. And the reason I say that is because they've been talking about how Akeem Hicks might not be back. They still might cut him. Post June 1st, his cap goes down. Or his cap hit goes down. So they might cut him June 1st. Watch for them to cut. If they can get Christian Barmore, watch them to cut Akeem Hicks. Because I think that they're going to try to fill that hole very quick, and they don't have the pieces to do it right now.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
My pick. So, I'm the Colts, okay? We just got Carson Wentz. Our weapons are getting a little older. We have a wide receiver in Michael Pittman. Our weapons are getting a little older. Yes, I would like to go Rashad Bateman here. I'm actually going to flip the script, though, because our defense is really good, but it needs to take one more step. I'm going with Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern at corner to play next to Rock Ya-Sin and play next to was it Blackman? Julian Blackman? Is that who it was that was really good last year? He's a safety. But I think that Greg Newsome to Indianapolis is just a dream. It's a dream come true. Greg Newsome's a great player, has great athleticism, can fit in anywhere on a defense, can play nickel, can play outside. That's a name I would watch out for at this pick.
You're a bastard. I'm just going to let you know. That was the pick I was going to go with for the Tennessee Titans. But Tennessee has a lot of needs. They released Dory Jackson at corner, and they got a really bad hole at corner, and they also released Malcolm Butler. But they also didn't bring back Corey Davis. So, as I don't think there's a corner really worth going here, I am going to go the my board, number 3 wide receiver on the draft class, Rashad Bateman, to replace Corey Davis there. And I think him and A.J. Brown will be a very good duo there in Tennessee.
Back-to-back picks. I get my number 1 and number 2 pick for the New York Jets taken. But you know what? It's all right. We will make things work. So the Jets. I didn't plan for both of these guys to be taken, 2 picks before I was taking them. But the Jets are luckily one of those teams that, again, need a lot of things. You can go Christian Barmore to strengthen up that defensive front. You can go Zaven Collins or Micah Parsons to, strengthen that linebacker unit. You can take Najee Harris. You can do a lot of things here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Micah Parsons. And I know that he's got a lot of off-field issues, but I believe that if he can get those strengthened out with an organization like the New York Jets, I believe that his on-field production will be a great help to the Jets, and it'll help them turn things around.
This is a guy that if I'm in Robert Sala's system, I would look at him to be my Fred Warner. On the field, he can be a leader. His off-field concerns worry me. Fred Warner didn't have any off-field concerns, I'm saying, as a player. And I've also been hearing that the Jets are looking at trading away CJ Mosley. That being said, this pick is the most see-through pick ever. It makes sense all the way around. That being said, I'm the Steelers. I'm going Najee Harris, no question. The Steelers have no run game and haven't had a run game since James Conner fell off pretty hard. James Conner is now with the Cardinals. I can see the Steelers saying, okay, we need to finally vitalize this position, and they make Najee Harris a need. I'm going, Najee Harris is just a dream at this pick.
Yeah, I agree there. So now we're at the Jacksonville Jaguars' second pick, and there's a lot of options here for me. I would go offensive tackle here, but I don't think it's worth at 25. I mean, the guy I was thinking about going was going to be Trevon Moehrig from TCU, but he's not there, of course. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Christian Barmore. I think they wanted Tyson Alalu. I don't know how to pronounce his name. They want to fix that interior defensive line. I think Christian Barmore would be the perfect pick there for Urban Meyer.
Again, another pick of mine that got taken right before I go because I had a whole description written out for Christian Barmore going to the Browns, but it's okay. I'm trying to think of where the Browns can go. I feel like they need someone to replace Sheldon Richardson since, he left in free agency. They just brought in Jadeveon Clowney, and of course, Myles Garrett is going to be Myles Garrett. He's going to play at a high level for a long time. I think that they're going to still look defense here, strengthen. I really don't think they need offense at all because, Baker Mayfield's been playing well. They have Odell Beckham Jr. coming back. We got Jarvis Landry returning, Austin Hooper, and Nick Chubb still being there and playing at a high level. So I think they're going to look defense here. And I'm going to take yet another linebacker in Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. This is kind of who I wanted to fall a little further, but I believe that Cleveland is going to need a linebacker to strengthen up that core and, again, make the defensive unit even better. So I'm going to go Zaven Collins here.
So my question, Kwity Paye is there, though, too. Isn't he kind of the same build as Sheldon Richardson? I'm genuinely curious. Can you click his profile for me? I think he is.
He is a little bit, but he's mainly an edge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they have Jadeveon Clowney, but how long is Clowney's deal? Is it a 1 year?
I believe
it's 1 year, and you can never have enough edge.
That's true.
So that'd be another. I mean, I'm not knocking your pick. I'm saying Kwity Paye would be interesting to go to Cleveland. I think that defense would just be insane. Yeah. That being said, I'm taking Kwity Paye. Because I'm the Ravens and I have had a awful. I shouldn't have done that, but I will anyway because I just looked at my board and I just thought about the trade today. But anyway, I've had an awful luck at edge when I pick outside of the first round. Za'Darius was one of them that panned out. The rest of them really have not. Tyus Bowser, not good. Pernell McPhee is doing all right, but I'm going Kwity Paye. He'd help shore up a lot of my pass rush issues. He's a guy that can play against the run pretty well. It's a no-brainer.
I think it's Kwity Paye could go so much earlier, but I like it. I think it fits well there too. So I'm the New Orleans Saints now. So I could go many different ways, and I keep looking at my options because I'm going to either go wide receiver or cornerback. And you lose Emmanuel Sanders, and it's tough because I wanted to go with Asante Samuel here, but I'm going to go Terrence Marshall, wide receiver from LSU. You get to replace Emmanuel Sanders, and I think Terrence Marshall is just a beast. So I like it all around there.
Alex, before you pick this pick, you and I better be on the right wavelength.
I'm not sure if I know what that means.
Yeah, don't
But
screw this up. Don't screw this up.
okay, so with all three of us being Packer fans here, I think we can all agree that we need someone next to our all-pro corner in Jair Alexander. With that said, are the Packers going to stay at pick 29 or are they going to trade down? In this scenario, we're going to keep them at pick 29. We saw what Kevin King did to us in the NFC Championship. He single-handedly cost us a trip to the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, a matchup that has been in the running since Patrick Mahomes came in the league. Patrick Mahomes against Aaron Rodgers. That's all we've wanted in the Super Bowl. With that said, I'm going to take cornerback Asante Samuel. I cannot believe that he fell this far. I'm really glad that he did. I believe he's going to come in here on day one and be able to be next to Jair Alexander and play at a high level.
Oh, you just let me down big time.
Let's go.
You let me go. You let me. I would go Kadarius Toney all day long, and the reason being, no. Hold on. Hold on. The reason being is the corner depth in this draft is ridiculous. Yes, Asante Samuel is a good corner, but again, look at all the other corners there, and look at how far he could possibly fall. You have Calvin Joseph. You have Afidu. I don't know how to say the guy's name. He's a good guy out of Syracuse. I don't want to butcher his name. I'm sorry. It's not me being mean. Eric Stokes. Yes, thank you. You have a lot of good corners at that place that you could get in the second round. Yes, they probably won't trade down, but if Kadarius Toney is here, I'm taking him all day long. The reason being, I think he could be. He's not the type of receiver that gets away by speed. He gets away by his routes, and he can break a tackle. He has great yards after catch. He can catch the ball. He doesn't have many drops. He's a guy that I would look for at this pick. But it's your pick, man. I would love to have Kadarius Toney with Aaron Rodgers.
I think that all I'm going to say with this is that I think that defense is where they need to continue to bring up. I don't think they need to strengthen offense all that much because they just had the number one offense in football all last season. And Asante Samuel is a guy that they want. He plays very similar to Jair Alexander. And I mean, if he's there at 29, if they don't trade down, I don't see how they can say no to him. If without someone else who's higher on their board being there.
The only way I'd be okay with this is if we got Nico Collins in the third. That'd be the only way I'd be okay with this is if we waited and got Nico Collins in the third. That being said, go back up. I'm the Bills. Oh boy, that's a good one. Okay. So I'm taking I want to take someone as like an impulsive grab. That's not a good impulsive grab. I want to do it. I'm going to do it. Give me Travis Etienne. You have Devin Singletary, who's meh, and you have who's their other running back? Why can't I think of it? He was a rookie last year.
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. Zach Moss started coming around the corner after last year, but if I'm running a two-back system, Devin Singletary is not doing the job. I would go Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne can do it all. He can obviously rush at a very, very high level, but he can also break tackles. He can also find the holes. His vision's incredible, and he's fast. I would be taking him in a heartbeat. Yes, Kerry Vincent is very good, Jack. I showed you this last week.
Okay, so I'm the Baltimore Ravens now. We just switched GM picks there. Okay, I need Sam. Sam, I want you to watch this, by the way. Watch this.
I wouldn't do that. That's not what I would have done.
I'm going to Kadarius Toney there at 31 for the Baltimore Ravens. They need a wide receiver there, and I mean, I would have won someone else, but I mean, I don't know who else you can go for tackle. I mean, Samuel Cosme, I guess, but Kadarius Toney is, I think, a better wide receiver than Samuel Cosme is as a tackle. So yeah, what's up?
Go finish what you're saying.
No, I just think Kadarius Toney makes a lot more sense than Samuel Cosme at 31.
But the need, man. You get like the depth. Like you're the Ravens. You just signed Alejandro Villanueva, who is older than dirt. Yeah. Like I would have been waiting right now and grabbed the offensive tackle that I know that He could turn the corner. If he's not turning it now, he could turn it next year. And I would have gone Alex Leatherwood at this pick.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I could see why, but I don't know. I think Darius Tooney. They've been clamoring for a damn wide receiver, but I could see either or. I think could work.
This is your last pick, Alex. Make it.
Yeah, Alex, don't screw it up.
Okay. Something that I want to say before I make my pick is I just find it interesting that the board has Tampa Bay's team needs as wide receiver as their number one need, which is extremely interesting to me, but that's all right.
Yeah, like why did you draft Tyler Johnson last year?
I don't know. I found it interesting.
They did draft Tyler Johnson last year.
Anyway,
that's what I'm saying. Why did you if it's against your need?
I don't know. I mean, Tyler Johnson's good. He's good in the slot. I don't know why.
The last pick in the first round with the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to be, oh gosh, I have to see if I can say his name correctly. Azeez Ojulari, I think is how you pronounce his name. I think that he'll be a very productive edge rusher, and learning from guys like Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, Levante David, the massive amount of pass rushers that they have in Tampa Bay. I think that Tampa Bay might be the best landing spot for any edge rusher in this draft because there's so many veterans that they can learn from that they can polish their game and be a top edge rusher in the league in the coming years. So, I mean, I believe that Tampa Bay is going to go edge if they don't trade out of the first round, just that way they can continue to develop a young guy under their massive slew of edge rushers that they have on that defense. But they could also go corner. They could go safety if any corners fall that far. Or, I mean, I think they're going to go edge to develop their young guys. Okay, with that being said, the first round mock draft is officially done. We're 6 days away from the NFL draft. It's next Thursday, April 29th. It'll be the biggest football event that we've had since the Super Bowl. Be the only football event we've had since the Super Bowl, honestly. But I think it'll be a really interesting draft this year. I think we're going to see a lot of trades happen just before draft day to trade or to change up the draft order. And I mean, we'll get an episode out the day after. We'll look at, the typical free agency stuff. If any trades happen, if any NFL news happens, we'll look at that. And then we'll also discuss the first round of the draft and potentially the second round too. So be on the lookout for that. We'll put that out next week, Friday or Saturday, just after the draft. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.